Hello and welcome to Embedded FM. I'm Alicia White, on my own this week at the Hackaday Supercon. This is a weekend-long conference about hardware and low-level software, also about giving out the Hackaday Prize, which I got to do. It was amazing. The whole weekend was amazing. I'd planned to interview attendees and speakers, but after we gave out the prize, I wanted to talk more to the Hackaday folks. They put so much passion into all of this. So I lured the ones I could out to the car for a bit of quiet and asked how and why and when. Here are the answers.
My name is Amber Cunningham. I work for Supplyframe and Hackaday, specifically Tindy, which is our marketplace for makers where they put on projects that they make, such as if they make a board for their Arduino and they want to sell it, they could put it on the marketplace and then people can come and purchase it.
Well, this is Tindy, Emil's Tindy,
yes,
that we heard about. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So you've been at the Supercon outside checking people in through rain and wind and not quite snow, but a lot of sun. How's that gone for you?
Oh, it's been good. It's been really good. For the first part of the day, it was so busy that I didn't even notice that it was cold or really that windy. It was just meeting people and being excited and you know, hearing the laughter and the excitement inside and the music. Towards the end of the day, you know, once the sun went down, it got a little chilly, but everybody was just, you know, super kind. People come out, ask if you'd like a coffee or something like that. So it's been really good. There's been a really, really good turnout. The last I checked, we had right at 200 attendees, and then that doesn't count volunteers or people that came to speak or any of our team members. So I think there was almost about 300 people yesterday. So a lot of people to meet and greet.
And did you get to attend anything?
A little bit. I thought it was really important to have somebody outside to answer questions so people aren't feeling lost. I know that feeling in a conference when you look for somebody and you don't know where you're going. I peeked in on the awards ceremony a little bit. I had the door shut so that we could give some privacy so that everybody wouldn't be distracted. But I got to see a lot of that, which was really amazing.
It was so cool.
Yeah, and super inspiring. I got to hear bits and pieces of little talks, and I'm really looking forward to watching some video later to kind of get the full feel of it.
Oh, will the videos be online?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
we'll probably put them through Hackaday, and then I'll probably retweet them through Tindy.
And I did notice that they moved the question and answer so that it was essentially right in front of you when people come off the stage and want to talk more.
Yes.
Have you gotten to check out any of those projects?
Yeah, so we put that out there so that people weren't interrupting, you know, other talks or anything like that. So lots of people
it was supposed to be like 10 feet away, and we could hear the question and answer and the new talk. So it was great that they moved it.
Yeah, definitely. And people were really excited, and you know, it gave more. It actually made it a little more intimate for people because they were right up on it and you know, feeling things and
you didn't have to make a line. You could crowd around both sides of the table.
Yeah, it was really excited, and people would just, you know, even people were coming in and out, and maybe if they hadn't caught that, they were upstairs with a workshop or things like that, they could come down and they would catch a glimpse of it and, you know, look into it on that.
Well, and there were some of us out here yesterday where when it was sunny, we stood outside and chatted with each other, and then it was like the speakers came to us and redid their presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I actually heard specifically from Paul when he was doing his audio with the Teensy, and he did his audio workshop. I heard that a lot because, you know, people were very, very interested in that. So I heard it several times while he was out and about, and it was really kind because it's difficult, you know, even myself, who is a huge talker, I talk all the time. By the end of the day, my voice was a little hoarse when I got home. So I can't imagine, you know, when you have somebody that's been speaking all day at length with people, how everybody felt. But everybody so far this morning has been super happy and excited. So it's been, I feel like it's been super successful.
I think so too. Well, I should let you get back before it gets too busy.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking with me.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
I'm Daniel Hinch, and I work for Parts.io.
And what are you doing here at Supercon?
At Supercon, I'm helping out generally getting the tables and chairs set up, things like that. I worked on putting together parts of the badge modding station that we have set up. And then also working at the Parts.io booth for people that are walking up wanting to know about the supply frame properties that are here.
Well, so this is a little confusing because there's supply frame and there's Hackaday, and there's Parts.io. And, people out there are thinking, well, why would the Parts.io guy take out the trash at the Hackaday conference?
Well, I think...
you're a nice guy and all, but that seems above and beyond.
Maybe, but at a conference this size, and with as many people that are here, you just got to keep your eye open and do what you can when you see something that needs to be done. So I figure if the trash needs to be taken out and I've got a spare moment, I'll take the trash out and then go back to the booth and wash my hands first.
Have you gotten to see anything?
A little bit. I've been over at the booth most of the time. I saw the interview with Grant Imahara last night that I thought went really, really well. I saw a little bit of the Tamagotchi Singularity talk. That was unique.
Where he was simulating Tamagotchis and trying to bring about intelligence. That was weird and cool.
It was probably the defining talk, I would say, for a Hackaday event right there. And then I got to say, I was really impressed with the badge modding station. I thought that there wouldn't be that much of a reception for us, but it was incredible to see what these people were putting together. And they still have a little bit of time to do it this morning as well.
And I thought people would bring whatever they were going to do and then just glue it on, and it wouldn't be that cool. But people were over there for hours, like detailed. Oh, what's in the box?
Yeah.
I want to pick up all of the weird LEDs and see which one works best for my. It was just people were really into badge modding.
There is a guy in there right now that has built a logic analyzer with his badge. He's got through-hole potentiometers sticking out the side. He's got buttons on there so that you can change it from the frequency domain into something else, and then it'll display a Hackaday rolling logo across the face. I don't know where he got the parts, because I certainly think that he may have brought the display with him, but everything else was pretty much stuff that he picked up off the table, and it is ridiculous to see what he was able to accomplish. It's pretty cool.
How much did you have to do before the conference started? This whole conference was put together in 6 weeks?
About, yeah.
And you were not quite local, but more local than some of the organizers. Did you have to do... set up?
Well, I helped Chris Gamble a lot with sort of concepts around the badge modding, but I was pretty much focused on what Parts.io was going to be doing here, rather than the organizing of finding speakers or anything like that. That was more the Hackaday staff than anything I would have had anything to do with.
Have you been having a good time?
I have. It's been an absolute blast. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of hard work, but the short little snips of the talks that I've been able to hear have all been remarkably interesting. Not just a little bit interesting, not just that's an interesting project or anything, but it's a lot of really hardcore thought that's gone into a lot of these projects that the people have been talking about. So that's been really satisfying. I wish I could go to the workshops that are going on upstairs, but there's just no time for it.
Well, those are solid hour and a half, 2 hour things where I went to the Spark Fun Thing workshop and helped out there. People went from hardware in a baggie to controlling things with their phones. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
And all the installation stuff. And then was, of course, the hard part is installing everything with Arduino.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
it was neat to see how far they got.
And they had 2 hour KiCad tutorial last night, and then I think that's going on for another hour this morning. And then there's something about radio frequency stuff that's happening. It's just incredible stuff. Usually you go to a conference, there's maybe one track that you're interested in, and maybe 2 or 3 actual talks in that track that you want to attend. And this one, I don't think I would have had time if I was attending, I would not have been on the show floor, because I'd have been upstairs in every workshop. They are so cool.
Just standing outside and saying hello to people, you meet amazing folks.
Yeah, absolutely. You bump into people that you've seen projects for, or you've read their blog 2 or 3 years ago, trying to find that one little tidbit of technical information to make your project work, and then they're standing next to you getting a bagel in the morning.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous, yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Thank you for helping put it on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
My name's Adam Fabio. I'm the community editor at Hackaday.com and on Hackaday.io. And I'm also a hardware engineer, software, hardware, firmware engineer, as in my day job, and just try to keep the community going.
So what have you been doing here at Supercon?
So at Supercon, I've been just helping to organize. My biggest job running up to Supercon was getting the goodie bags together. We wanted to have goodie bags that, the swag bags, goodie bags that had stuff people could use. The Open Source Hardware Summit has really pulled that off every year. And we wanted things, like boards, either Arduino boards or breakout boards that would be really, useful to people rather than, golf tees and doodads that people really, they kind of go on the shelf and never get touched again. And I think we pulled that off. We had some help from companies like Polulu, Seed, Wicked Device, a whole host of companies. NFC Ring actually gave us a whole bunch of rings, and it's been great.
So not everybody got the same thing in their goodie bags.
Right. So one of the side effects of this was we got a lot of different products, and we had, we'd have 20 of one part and 30 of another. And for the 250 or so attendees, everybody's bag was different. So it was kind of like, when I made the speech at the beginning, I said, look to your left, look to your right. Everybody's got something different. Mix and match. Find, build something awesome with your pooled resources.
And there was a book in there.
There were a couple of books. There was the Omnibus, the Hackaday Omnibus, which is last year's Omnibus. The new one is about to come out. This year's 2015.
I'm looking at the one that I picked up already this morning.
Shh.
No,
it's pretty
I'm a
awesome.
Judge. I get to see it early.
Yeah, the new one is. I've seen the new one. We've gotten a couple of copies ourselves, and it is incredible. The 2015 edition. Joe Kim is our artist, and the cover art, just straight from the cover, is incredible. And the stories inside, I'm a little bit biased because I wrote a few of the stories, but they're great. So, what also was in there was it's not rocket science, which was a book Microchip put in about some of their hardware modules that are included on their picks. No Starch Press also threw in a number of books and vouchers that different people ended up with in their bags. Not everyone, of course, but there was some good reading material in there, and not just corporate swag. So,
what was your favorite thing? What goodie bag would you have made for yourself?
What goodie bag would I have made for myself? Well, Polulu had the A-Star micros in there. Seed had their Bluetooth shields. Wicked Device came up with some of their RGB, their Flick RGB modules, which is basically a WS2812 breakout board. And they actually gave us about 200 of those, which was really nice of them.
And I saw an EL board in there that I wanted, except I didn't know how to power it at the conference.
Yeah, well, no, Seed gave us the EL boards and the inverters. So, I guess people would mix and match. I think some of the bags ended up with both, but one would have the inverter, others would have the ELs. So we were hoping people would mix and match. And I did see a few running yesterday, so people did get them together.
Well, and the guy, I pawed through his bag because I didn't get one.
Well, that's actually a problem with our success. We originally started with an idea of 200 bags. We were going to have 200 attendees. And,
but as Amber was saying, you have about 300 once you take into account the staff and the judges and the speakers.
It ballooned up, yeah.
It's hard to say, no, you can't come to our party.
Right. So I think that's a lesson. We're going to add that to our lessons learned database to get more than enough bags. Because the problem was once we all realized that we were going to have way more than 200 people just attending before we even hit the speakers and the judges. I couldn't go back and say, can we get another 50, 60 parts? It's hard to call up a company and beg for stuff. It actually, even saying I'm from Hackaday, it takes a little bit to actually call them up and say, yeah, can you send us a few hundred pieces of something? and not pens. We want, actual product that you could be making money selling.
Yeah.
And I do have to thank everyone. I'll give you the full list. There was about 10 different companies that helped us out.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you.
Well, have you gotten to see anything at the conference? Or have you been so busy being staff that you had to miss it?
I am lucky enough that actually at the conference, I am doing a lot of photography and videography of the crowd, which kind of has afforded me a chance to see some of the cool hacks people have brought. There's an incredible sign, LED matrix sign that's running Conway's life that's in the side. I don't have all the
That's what
names.
it's doing.
Yes. And he's seeding it with the word with Hackaday.
Yeah.
So every 20 seconds or so, Hackaday pops up and then it breaks out into life. So, which is awesome. Sarah Petkus was one of our speakers. She brought her noodle robot. So that was, I haven't seen it walk around yet, but that's one of her creations. So she did the Robot Army Kickstarter. That was successful.
That was neat.
Yes. So, and she is one of our writers from time to time as well.
Thank you for speaking with me.
Thanks a lot.
So I'm Brian. I write for Hackaday. And yeah, that's about it. I hate talking about myself.
All right. Okay, tell me about the Supercon.
Supercon is, this is our second go at it. Well, technically our first, but it's the conference for the Hackaday Prize event thing. And we have a bunch of really cool people here that is mostly about hardware, which you don't really get much of anywhere, but you get it somewhere. But yeah, so it's just people building hardware and showing it off.
So what have you seen that's been cool?
So Sprite's Tamagotchi is probably the best.
Tamagotchi Singularity. We heard a little bit about that.
So that was
Dan,
his.
yeah.
This is his second talk he's given for us. Last year it was a mechanical keyboard that he played Snake on. All the keys light up. So I think it was a cooler.
Like a typewriter or like
a mechanical keyboard. So with like mechanical key switches.
Okay.
Oh, that's a thing, by the way. So I write, which means I have a keyboard. I have several keyboards that I spent like $200 on. Yeah, because what? That's your tool. So his keyboard has mechanical key switches and LEDs in the back of them. And just standard firmware. I think it was a Cooler Master keyboard. And he reprogrammed the firmware to make the LEDs a display. So now he can play Snake, like the Nokia old brick phone Snake, on his keyboard using just the LEDs.
Does he end up typing gibberish, or has he convinced the computer to teach him how to type this way?
Oh no, he just uses the arrow keys, and the rest of the keyboard is just a display. So
see, I'd want to, if the snake is heading for the letter K, I push K and he has to turn around.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get past here.
Okay. Yeah.
What else have you seen?
The badge hacking. Badge hacking is spectacular. They have significantly outperformed our wildest expectations. Somebody's building an AM transceiver on their badge.
Out of components found on the table.
Yeah. And the thing is, this badge is not meant to do that because...
They aren't that big.
Well, no, and it's not standard in any way. So the pads are not 0.1 inch, okay? A little surface mount on the back, that's all crazy. So...
Why were you so mean?
What?
I guess it was Chris Gamble who was mean, wasn't it?
Well, he didn't make... Okay, he published a picture, okay? And it's like, there's a bunch of holes. That's probably standard, right? You would think, right?
I would think, yes.
Yeah, but no, it's like it's 2.52. Yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah. Yeah, but the badge hacking that's actually really impressive.
AM transceivers are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the Hackaday Omnibus came out, and I stole a copy with permission. What's in there that's cool this year?
So that's our best. It's actually a mix, which it shouldn't get the Omnibus name, but it's actually a mix of our best content from 2015. Yeah, that's this year. And some new stuff. So Sarah Petkus, she is giving a talk sometime this afternoon, and she did...
Noodle Robot.
The Noodle Robot. And she did a piece on art robots. So robots that draw art.
On their own or with help? Is this like the watercolor buff that EMSL makes, or is this they design their own art?
They design their own art. So robots that make their own art.
Robots making art.
Yeah. Cool. So we have new stuff. We have the old stuff. Oh yeah. Oh, we have my April Fool's Day post in there.
What did you do for April Fool's Day?
Okay, so about 3 weeks before April Fool's, I was driving 10 hours to the middle of Indiana. And around when I hit Pittsburgh, I thought, you know what would be cool is if Raspberry Pi got into wearables. So, you know what they should make? A Raspberry Beret.
That's terrible. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm impressed with that.
And why didn't Raspberry Pi play along?
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
They did. Yeah, we emailed them before that went out. It's like, oh, man. I think there was we should have thought of that.
And were people annoyed when it turned out?
It's an April Fool's Day post.
So when my April Fool's Day podcast went, people hated. Well, okay, some of you actually listened to the whole thing and liked it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you say, what was the worst episode? It's like the freaking cat.
Okay.
So don't interview your cat for paper, because I don't think that would work either. What are you looking forward to today? At the conference?
Okay, so we have Fran, which I haven't seen, and she wasn't here yesterday, but apparently she's giving a talk today, I hope. But she'll be here about old technology. She's great.
She was on the show not too long ago, so I totally agree. She'll be fun to listen to.
Yeah. So she designed the Big Muff Pi, the one in like 2000-ish, the one that everybody has. Okay. So, yeah. And now she's doing manufacturing for guitar effects pedals, so she's getting back into that. Very cool stuff.
Noah Freehand will be talking later. I think he's talking after I leave, so that's sort of sad.
When are you leaving?
It's rain and travel, and I have to go home before the water melts me. I'm made of sugar.
Okay. Who else we got? Yeah, the noodle robots giving a talk.
Alvaro's giving a talk about robots and lasers.
Robots and
Nothing
lasers.
could possibly go wrong with that.
No.
I'm wearing dark glasses for that talk.
Okay. Oh, what else?
There's so much.
I didn't. Yeah.
You didn't read the schedule, did you? Admit it.
I did like 5 minutes ago. So.
Or you just need a lot more coffee.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should go plan our day.
Yes.
Thank you for speaking with me.
Yes. Thank you.
So my name is Alexander Braddock. I'm a CTO at a Supply Frame, which is a parent company of Hackaday, but also I'm like a contributor at large for for Hackaday, doing video stuff and just long form stuff, things like that. My background is in computer science. Professionally, most of my time is in the computer science, on the computer science side of things. But most of my passion and free times goes to Hackaday and everything that we're doing.
So what have you been doing here at Supercon?
Mostly, just sitting behind the AV booth and then, playing the. I kind of feel now I know what it feels like to run a morning show. It's like, oh, now to camera one and now to camera two. So it's basically just trying to coordinate all the videos, and we ended up recording. We ended up doing a bunch of original video stuff. So trying to mix that in and to get a little bit of more of a nicer feel, to the whole thing. So just coordinating video stuff.
What has been your favorite part?
Favorite part for me or for the conference?
Favorite part of being at the conference?
Just really a feeling that we are doing something that probably wouldn't have happened if we haven't done it. Because, I come from open source background in the 90s, Linux, embedded development, stuff like that. And, there was a lot of soul to everything that we were doing. And I kind of feel like that a lot of that has been lost over time, with the kind of events that are kind of happening right now. So our core idea behind the Supercon, when Sophie and I were just kind of, goofing around 2 months ago, obviously, we're not big on planning, was, let's try to, make something that carries that spirit of really, that even though like the technology today is everywhere and it doesn't feel as special as it was, as it felt maybe 20 years ago, just bring a little bit of that magic back. And then, just having spent the whole day and, feeling some of that, even though, I was busy with stuff, it really makes me feel great. It's just like we did something.
What's been your favorite talk so far?
I have to be I have to be honest. Like, most of my I didn't get a chance to focus on any talk just because it was more like just trying to coordinate things between the videos. But I was really excited about Shani's talk, like the first talk. That was amazing, and I was just really trying to get as much of it as I can. But
that was the one about quantum entanglement, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna end up when I go home tomorrow. Start watch all the videos, and then. But yeah, I think her talk was amazing.
What was the hardest part to organize?
Well, just trying to do this whole thing on a 2 months notice, or less. But it's kind of my fault that it went like that. So but that wasn't, for me it's a motivator. So we kind of had to crank out a whole bunch of stuff. So I did all the video stuff. We worked on some other audio stuff. I did all the poster design, things like that. So it's like every day trying to crank some things out and. It was a lot of work, but it wasn't hard. So for me, it was just all very positive.
How important is Hackaday to supply frame?
I would say that really, when we acquired Hackaday, it was more like, well, we love Hackaday, and we think that maybe we can do something special with it, and there wasn't a plan at that point. But I think really over time it evolved to become a core DNA of what supply frame is. So. Everyone in the company is, so it's not like we own Hackaday as a sort of like a, just a company. We, really feel just Hackaday being a part of, what we all do as a part of our job that's just about passion and not necessarily very commercial. And, so kind of moving forward, I think it's really that. It's because, so for example, if you look at this event, there are over 15, 20 people from Supply Frame that were really working hard on doing this, and they were working on this in their spare time. It wasn't like, oh, this is your job now, let's go do this, because all this stuff is not for profit.
Because the rest of the jobs just continued being jobs.
Well,
so
I think the other stuff that we do is also very interesting for us, but this is this is the passion part. So yeah, I think that's the plan moving forward as well.
You said it, the soul of embedded systems. I feel like sometimes Hackaday is part of the soul of Supply Frame.
Yeah, no, literally, I would say that, maybe a couple of years ago, Supply Frame was more like a structured company, really organized towards, and it is, oriented toward businesses and, kind of very serious. And what really happened is everyone just somehow, a lot of people that we have in the company are very artistic or very rebellious, and, people with punk rock backgrounds or stuff like that, people that are anti-establishment. And everyone felt that Hackaday, gives permission for people to bring a little bit of that, teenage riot, in them. So yeah, I think it was, I get to do this, and it's sort of, part of work as well. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm really I would say professionally the last couple of years have been really, the most amazing years of my life. So I'm really happy.
That's fantastic.
I would, especially last year since Sophie joined, that's just been, it's nice to have another crazy person on the
Sophie may listen to this, right?
Yeah, of course. Hi, Sophie.
The crazy person.
In a good way. In a good way,
yes. No, I do see that part of her sometimes, yeah. Cool. What are we going to look at for next year as far as conferences or Hackaday Prize or...
Sure. Yeah, so I would say for the Supercon, I think this has been amazing, and we're just gonna make it a regular event. Although I'm we're very spontaneous in everything that we're doing, so I don't see this becoming now we're getting into this year ahead planning cycle, getting very structured. I'm sure we're gonna come up with some other craziness along the way to add more pressure. So Sophie was this morning, we should do this next year in another city, and I was like, no. That's starting everything from the beginning. So I don't know, but definitely this has been amazing, and I think especially when we started talking about Supercon, I was what I was really like thinking as a team is something between like a DEF CON and a research conference, and really something that has a really high quality of talks and, almost at the research level, or anything that's just, not very generic TED Talkish or something like that, but stuff that has an edge. So, I was really excited about how many people, like submitted proposals for talks and how awesome they are. So we are definitely doing this, again, just because of that. I think also Hackaday Prize, we're always, again, the Hackaday Prize as well just started very spontaneous. Like there wasn't a lot of planning, from the...
Well, there was a big enough cash prize that there had to be a little bit of planning. Like,
well, so maybe
who's going to pay for this?
Yeah. So this year, definitely there was, but, the year before we were like, oh, we're just going to, like Supply Frame doesn't spend, we were like, well, we could probably afford this. Let's just do this and figure out what happens. So like that, from the idea to launch was less than 2 months, like really no planning. This year we knew that we were going to do it. So, there was planning and we found sponsors and all that stuff. What's going to happen next year? We don't know. We are evolving the thesis of what this is and, what's the most valuable thing to do. But we're definitely going to do it again next year. So, probably, some new ideas, again, are going to kick in. And then for Supply Frame, we are really professionally, what I'm really, kind of passionate about is, like the core on the technology side, Supply Frame, we are really more, we are all at the essence computer science, geeks that are, like most of us have EE backgrounds, and some people have worked in EE and all that, but just our core competence is computer science. And computer scientists, they always feel like they're like, oh, we can solve all the world's problems and all that. So when we really look at the domain of engineering, there really feels there are a lot of things that can be just made better by being smarter about the data, search, things like that. Just like general problems that computer scientists are good at. We can build tools that really, help move engineering a little bit. It's probably not, like it's still not the core of what the work is. But, I like for me, it's really about how do you enable everyone to make smarter decisions when it comes to design, just purchasing, stuff like that. And to me, the key question is that always, am I making the best possible decision right now? And as a computer scientist, when I see that space, I see, oh, well, there's no one can go and read all the data sheets about all the components. No one can go and meet all the people when it comes to supply chain and all that. So there are things that, we can do to really just, help people be smarter about, how to do these things. And I think hardware hasn't really fundamentally changed when it comes to like supply chain, when it comes to like design and stuff like that. It's been a lot of things have been running the same way, for the last couple of decades. And some of those things are, there's the potential for them to change. And so our mission is more like, oh, what can we do to help that change just a little bit? And I think by, making everyone smarter, by making everyone more, like building tools that, for example, make engineers more aware of like, how their decisions relate to like purchasing and supply chain and stuff like that. Electronics industry is very siloed and then people are just like, I don't care what the other person is doing, but, because, you have to do that. But I think if you build better tools, people can start caring more about, how end-to-end impact of what they're doing. And, maybe over time that can do something. So, Partio has definitely been a thing that we've been working on. And I think, really getting into next year, we're really trying to figure out, Partio was more around the search for individual components. How do we really provide more intelligence around bill of materials and, just everything that flows from there. So there are a couple of products that we're working on. So, yeah.
Well, I hope that all works out because I have quite enjoyed the Hackaday Prize and helping give out all that money. It's really fun.
Yeah, I think it's good incentive, and I'm really happy that it really goes to a good use. So like last year, so it wasn't about like just here's money to someone and someone cashes out and go for like a big vacation. Like Satnox guys, they took it and they invested in nonprofit to help support the project. I think this year's prize also went to like an amazing...
I don't think they're going to go to space, although I bet they want to.
Right.
I do think that that money is going to go someplace really useful.
Right. And that's really...
It's going to change a lot of lives.
Exactly.
So cool.
And that's so, so exciting. So I kind of hope it continues to, have that theme. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Sure. Thanks so much.
I'm here with Sophie Kravitz, who's been a guest a few times, but now we're going to talk about the Super Conference. How's it going?
It's going awesome.
Why are we at a Super Conference? How did this start?
We we're going to make a party for the Hackaday Prize Awards, the award ceremony. This was the culmination of the competition, 9 months of competition. So we would naturally have a party, and then we thought, let's do a conference.
But you did this not very long ago. I mean, oftentimes, like for the Sensors Conference, they just closed the proposals last month in October for a conference that's not happening until June.
The people take too long to do stuff.
They really do, don't
They really do, yeah.
If you wait till last minute, it only takes a minute.
That's exactly right.
When did you start planning for the conference?
About 6 weeks ago. And then it was like, go. We put out a call for proposals within a day, and we had 147 responses. Crazy, right?
And yet you only had, what, 30, 35 slots?
Yep. We didn't even know how many slots we had because we just put the call out just to get it going, and then we started doing the schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard some people didn't know when they were talking until late last week. I mean, it's
Right.
like, yes, you've been accepted. You'll be speaking at some point.
Well, you also don't know if you're going to have no-shows.
Yeah.
We, by design, chose a lot of people who were first-time speakers. So you don't, I mean, if someone is not a practiced speaker, they don't have a track record. So you don't know if they're going to be reliable or not. So far, we haven't had any no-shows. We had one cancellation. And I don't actually want to talk about that, but...
That's fine.
Yeah.
Why? Why go with first-time speakers? I mean, that seems scary.
No, it's actually really awesome. There's plenty of people in our community that are doing really amazing things, and they don't normally speak. So no one knows about them. So this is an opportunity for people to talk about the things they're excited about. And first-time speakers, as I found out, made a lot of extra effort. There were a lot of people talking about how they were preparing to speak on Facebook, on Twitter. 2 people developed their talks out on hackaday.io so that people could comment on what they were planning on saying or, you know.
What did you see yesterday that you liked? What was your favorite part of the conference yesterday?
Just the organizing of how well everything went. I was doing a lot of emceeing. For a while, I was up on stage for about 6 hours. So I felt pretty tired by the end. It was pretty awesome, like seeing all these people come together. The last talk, Sprite's talk, that was fantastic about the
This is the
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi one. Everybody has talked about the Tamagotchi.
It was so good. And then doing the fireside chat with Grant Imahara, that was really fun. Really fun, actually. He is a very interesting person.
And I thought he would, blow in, do the talk, and go away. But he stayed.
He stayed, yeah.
He stayed and hung out for quite a while.
Yep.
And
people were really interested in talking to him. And yeah, it was good.
I get a picture of him and holding my little torn apart BB-8. It was great.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he said a lot of really interesting things too about robotics. I actually asked him if we would do it again and, talk some more about that stuff.
Well, I asked him to be on my show, but...
What did he say?
Maybe. Maybe. Be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
So are you already planning next year's Hackaday Prize?
No, but I know that there is going to be one. We have decided that there will be one.
Well, that is a step, and a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Are you happy with how this year's Hackaday Prize went?
Very happy.
And the winner? Happy with that?
Super happy. That has been my favorite project from the beginning.
The video they sent, I mean, because iDrive-Matic couldn't be at the conference, they not only developed the technology, they have Lou Gehrig, so they really couldn't travel.
No.
But they made this video, and it was awesome.
I know. It was really good video.
Yeah.
So
The whole thing was amazing and a little tear-jerky and a little...
Look, we're getting all teary now.
I know. But the whole thing was, every time I'm going to whine about, how hard my job is, like, yeah, I have all these wonderful abilities to type and not have to worry about these things.
Yeah.
They got a lot done.
Yeah, they really did. And I thought they have Patrick Joyce, who is the contact, the person that I spoke with the most. He has an amazingly positive attitude. it's really inspiring. I mean, I had the opportunity to have some chats with him online, and we Skyped a little bit. And he just has a very great attitude for something really terrible that happens to you, because it happened. I don't know how old he is, but I don't think he's even 40.
And it's degenerative, so you know it's getting worse.
He only has his eyes.
Yeah.
He says in his profile that he has the use of his eyes and one finger still. So for listeners, what we're talking about is ALS, as Alicia said, Lou Gehrig's disease. And so that's the same thing that Stephen Hawking has. And so Stephen Hawking, from his Wikipedia page, I read up on it, he has something that's really rare because he's living past 70. So not only it's terminal as well as losing every motion in your body. It's heartbreaking.
And they gave some of that motion back. And that lack of motion is not just that disease. They did build something that matters.
Mm-hmm. They really did. I mean, quadriplegics, it's like anyone who loses their independence due to some kind of terrible accident or being born that way, who can't control where they go. Yeah. It's amazing.
Do you have any hints for us for next year's Hackaday Prize?
It's going to be a shorter run.
Huh?
This time we did 9 months. I think next time, ideally, we would do it maybe 5 months or 6 months.
Because you want like a couple of months off to recover?
We won't be launching. Alicia, we're not launching tomorrow.
Sophie, are you a little tired? Is that why you're taking a break?
There will be a break. We won't be launching until next year.
Yeah.
But I think we, as a community, tend to be very good procrastinators. And so it doesn't help to drag it out. Kind of like the Supercon. We put it together in 6 weeks. So...
And it's going well.
Yes,
so,
and it's fine.
Yeah.
So we could shorten the prize run and not have people procrastinating for 3 months.
All right. Well, that's good to know. In case I decide
No offense to those of you who,
procrastinated.
Right.
What are you looking forward to today at the conference? You can say 5:30. I understand.
Yeah. It's been
a long weekend.
It has been a really long weekend. I'm looking forward to many of the talks, and I can't actually even think of who is speaking today. But since I had a hand in putting together the schedule, every single person that's on there was in some way I wanted them to be there. There were 5 of us that did the choose.
Power.
Yeah, 5 people together chose who was going to be there. So, yeah.
You've done a lot of traveling for Hackaday in the last year. All over the world, really.
Yeah.
Is that going to continue? Are you guys going to travel some more next year?
Yes.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any particular destinations?
On my wish list is Hackaday, or Supply Frame, actually has a branch in Belgrade. So that's on my wish list, and I think we will probably make that happen. Also on my wish list is going to India. India is huge, so I'm not sure where we would go. I'd like to go to the Pacific Northwest in the U.S. I'm sure I'll be in San Francisco and LA a lot. That's, boring.
There's just so much Hackaday here already.
Right. New York City, which there isn't enough Hackaday in my opinion, but that's my home. So, there.
I'm surprised that London is not on your list. It'd be kind of fun to go visit the iDrive guys.
Actually, going to London is always on my list, but London is very close to New York. So I guess I just didn't think of it because it's not that exotic.
Oh yeah, backyard,
It's actually closer to get to London than it is for me to get to San Francisco.
Well, next time we can meet there.
Sure.
All right. Well, I know you are very busy today, so I should let you go.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else you'd like to add.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Thank you for speaking with me.
Thanks, Alicia.
I think it's amazing how many people came and stayed the entire day. It was packed, and we had speaker after speaker after speaker, which you would think would wear people down. But at least from my point of view, there was so much variety on the speakers, and they were so prepared, and that it was just enthralling and fascinating all day.
It was, and I'm glad I pushed record and got that. But maybe we should start with your name.
My name is Mike Stish. I'm managing editor of Hackaday.com.
And what was the impetus for the Supercon?
We've kind of been on this path, this slow drumbeat of building up our ability to get the Hackaday community to come out of their labs and workshops and get together. And so if you look back about a year ago now, we had the 10th anniversary of Hackaday in Los Angeles, and we did a mini conference, which was like 3 workshops in the morning, maybe a half a dozen talks in the afternoon. And that was another situation where it was like standing room only. People stayed the whole day. It was really wonderful. We did something similar in Munich to announce the Hackaday Prize last year. And then this year, with sponsors coming out for the Hackaday Prize, we were able to travel a ton to all kinds of different cities around. And we just see every single time we add something that has interest to engineers, interest to people actually building hardware, we get more and more people coming out, and they're like fanatical about bringing their projects and talking about what's going on. So it really seems like the natural path is we need to do a conference. And I think we're just very fortunate that we have a pretty small team. We did the organization, but it's really the Hackaday community that brought the talent, people that were presenting, people that were doing lightning talks, showing off their projects, volunteering, and that's really what has made it a success for us.
How many people applied to talk?
I want to say we had 160 applications for presentations. That might be off by a little bit, but it's right in that between 1 and 200 range there.
That's a lot more slots than you had available, because all along I knew it was only going to be a weekend, and there was only going to be a couple of tracks.
So we have one track in the upstairs, which is workshops that have been going both days. And we actually sold, because there's a limited number of seats and materials, we actually sold tickets. Some of them were free, some of them were low cost, $16 or $64, depending on what the materials were. And on the main floor, we have room for a few hundred people for the talks, and there was just a single talk track. So if you wanted to hear all the speakers, you can, which I think is really nice. Sometimes you go to very large conferences, and if you're trying to just decide talks on the titles, it can be difficult. But it did limit us. We only have about 30 plus workshops and talks. And where that's limiting is who you can invite to the conference. But we do have all of those talk proposals, and we're going to be in touch with the people that submitted them, but we weren't able to invite. And I'm fairly certain there's going to be opportunities to involve them in the future.
So do you think you're going to spread the Supercon around the country, or what are the plans for the next Supercon? Or should we finish this one first?
Well, I have been saying, once we got going yesterday, I said we should really think about what it's going to take to clean this up, because it's running so well, we probably won't have to do anything the rest of the weekend. I mean, really, our group of
and your group just sort of killed you at that point?
Yeah.
I saw them; they were pretty busy.
They were pretty busy, but the thing is, the Hackaday community are not passive conference goers. Like, anytime things needed doing, people just jumped up and helped out with it. And so really the staffing part of it is just people knowing what's going on, what's next, and then asking for help when they needed it. And it's been really wonderful that way. Sophie Kravitz and Chris Gamble really killed themselves making sure that this was well planned. And I know they were nervous about the level of planning coming into it, but anyone you talk to is going to say that things are going unbelievably smoothly, and it's because of the work that the two of them did with the help of the rest of the Hackaday crew.
Well, and the community's been pretty supportive too. I noted you got a lot more volunteers than you had space to use.
Yeah, but I think that's perfect, right? Nobody wants to go and volunteer for something and be occupied the entire time that they're at the event. So, the volunteers get T-shirts that are volunteer T-shirts only. They get into the event for free, and then it's, maybe depending on who you are, 25 to 50% of your time is spent actually doing something, and the rest you're just attending and enjoying the festivities.
Well, then a lot of people are more comfortable if they have a job, and then they can be part of the conference, but also have a job to do at the conference.
Yeah.
So I think the volunteering was a good experience for a lot of people.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
So what has been your favorite part of the conference so far?
Jeroen's talk was my favorite. So Jeroen
This was the time I got you. This was really popular. I was only there for a few minutes, so I'm sort of sad I didn't see it.
You missed a great one. But the nice thing is, we didn't have, you asked before about, are we going to spread the Supercon around to different parts of the world? So we did a one-day event in Munich last year to announce the Hackaday Prize. And most of
At
our team is based.
Electronica?
Yep, at Electronica. Most of our team is based in the United States, and so planning a conference from that far away is really tough. We didn't end up getting a lot of it recorded and up on the internet, and that was really sad because it was extremely special. And that was the first time that Jeroen gave a talk right before the Hackaday Prize for 2014 was announced, and he brought the house down with that one as well. And I think he topped himself this year. So he built what's called the Tamagotchi singularity. He kind of reverse engineered what the hardware was for a Tamagotchi and emulated it, and then wrote some AI and networking connecting software that allows him to make an unlimited number of instances of Tamagotchi and then put it up on a server and let it go. And it did its thing. And that was a really amazing hack. And I thought the talk was done. And then he said, oh, by the way, I figured since it's a hardware conference, I should build something. So he got the original Tamagotchi, reverse engineered that, added Wi-Fi to it, and made it so he can view any of his virtual Tamagotchi on the one handheld unit. A spectacular hack. We got it on great cameras that we were able to rent. Rich Hogben has been wonderful. He's one of the team members that works on Hackaday.io and Parts.io and some of the other supply frame sites, and is a great filmmaker, and he's doing a wonderful job as a videographer this weekend.
And so this will all be online?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've been recording all of the talks. It's a little more difficult to record the workshops because the workshops are hands-on and it's not a full presentation.
There was a camera there for the SparkFun thing. I went to that one.
Yeah, so we had cameras up there. I'm not sure what's going to come out of that, but I expect the talks to be spectacular. We've done multiple redundancies, so we actually have 3 cameras and a couple of different audio recordings, and it's just a matter of editing it all together.
So talking about videos, the videos you put together for the prize announcement, did you do those?
I did do those, yes.
Those were fantastic.
Thank you. So, if you're going to give away a big prize and you have hundreds of people that have entered, I think we had over 900 this year. We came down to 2 sets of 10 finalists, 10 Best Product finalists and 10 Hackaday Prize finalists. You want to give the audience an overview of who it is that's up for these amazing awards, a trip to space, $100,000, several other major prizes. So, we're so fortunate that we have great judges who are volunteering their time and talent, and I hope we didn't take up too much of that, because after they spent, tens of hours judging in each round, then we asked them to do video interviews about what they saw. And so I worked on splicing together the judges' thoughts on each entry.
Yeah, and I liked that. And Lenore, I heard her say that she was surprised how well it went together, what she was saying with what the contestant was saying, and it flowed nicely. You did a good job on that.
Thank you. Oh, I think a big part of that is the good documentation from the contestants' part. So Lenore and the other judges were able to really understand what was going on and make informed decisions based on that. And so when you go and interview them about their experience, they are experts on the projects. And I think that is who should be in the finals, the ones that have the best documentation. One of the biggest parts of the Hackaday Prize is promoting open design.
Do you have ideas for what the next prize will be? Because I do.
As in what the winner of next year will receive? Or what the build challenge will be?
The build challenge.
Well, I want to hear your build challenge because, we just gave the award away last night, which means today we need to start planning for next year.
I want have you seen Robot or Not?
No.
Okay, so it's this podcast. It's usually just a couple of minutes. And they bring in a thing, is this a robot or not? And so like the Mars rover, one of them says, yes, it is a robot because it has intelligence on board. The other says, no, it's just remote control. Remote control is not robot. So with that in mind, I think that the next competition should be build a sensor that does something about what it senses. So build intelligence, not just, is there a gas here? But I want to do something about it. And I recognize a lot of people are going to be notify somebody is the do something about it. But I want more. I want, sense the soil needs water, turn on the water. Build the intelligence into the system.
Well, now that's an interesting thing too, because where do you put the line there? So you can say to yourself, like, the Nest thermostat is obviously qualifies as an intelligent thing because it detects that you're walking up and down the hall, and then it learns your schedules from that and does predictive work with it. If you had a thermostat that that had a PIR sensor and just detected you walking up and down the hall, but didn't do predictive things, would it qualify?
Well, if it also turned off your heater when you weren't there, then maybe it would qualify. But, I mean, the connected challenge, that was very, did it qualify? Well, last year, well, what does it have to connect to? What kind of connections does it have to use? And is USB to a computer enough? Is that connected? So this would be there is no perfect definition, but you can look at it and say, oh, yeah, that does something with what it has.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it's interesting to talk about the 2014 Hackaday Prize, which was build something that's a connected device, and the 2015 Hackaday Prize, which is build something that matters. Asking someone to, solve a problem that a lot of people face is not very constrained. And I think engineering often needs constraints.
It was too hard. I mean, build something connected. As a judge, I could think of 5 projects I could build that would fit that, and maybe they wouldn't be great, but I had lots of ideas. Build something that matters. I kept thinking of ideas, and then it was too big. And so I felt a little bad for some of the contestants because they did a great job, and the winner, that was so fantastic. But I didn't feel like I could have participated very well this year.
Sure. So the winner was iDrive-O-Matic, which is an add-on, a non-invasive add-on for powered wheelchairs that lets people drive them with their eyes, so using eye gaze, which is existing software computer like Stephen Hawking uses to speak. And it's very important because a lot of times powered wheelchairs are rented. They're not owned. And so you can't modify them permanently. And I also think it was very, very well executed. iDrive-O-Matic is very extensible. So you can, if you have someone else that has another challenge, but doesn't need to use the eye gaze, you can still adapt the way that the chair is controlled to that. So in the end, we really got a lot of great results. I think the problem with the challenge being a little not very constrained happened at the beginning. So like you said, you start to think of ideas and then you kind of like self-eliminate yourself because you're like, that's too much. And so that's something we'll definitely look at. One of the things that I think I would like to see us do in the future is get even better at connecting people into teams. Because the problem when you say, okay, that thing's too big, the problem is it's too big for me to do this by myself. And so we started like the Hacker Chat channel. We had like weekly meetings of people could come in and ask questions about their projects and things that they were building. And we had a lot of hackers get together and start working on projects, whether they were at the Hackaday Prize or not. And I think if we can do a better job picking the constraints, but then also helping the community find other people to be teammates, to encourage each other. And, when you get a little discouraged, someone else cheering you up can really get you over that hump and take you to the finish line. So expect that for next year.
All right, I can do that. What are you looking forward to today for the conference?
Well, I am giving a talk on the editorial voice of Hackaday. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I didn't actually make a deck. So this morning I woke up and went, oh, and then it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I can do this in time, and it came together, and so I'm kind of excited about that. And I think the thing that makes me excited is...
You didn't have to say the editorial voice of Hackaday doesn't involve PowerPoint?
Well, it never involves PowerPoint because I am open source only, so it's LibreOffice Impress for me. Okay. But, I get really energized when I look. It's so easy to just say, okay, I have a deadline coming up because we publish something every 3 hours or more. So there's always a deadline. But when you actually stop and look back at the work that so many people are doing really at a high level, I mean, everybody that works on Hackaday projects does a million things and wears a million different hats, things they weren't trained for, but things they're really passionate about. And when you look back and see that come together, it gives you like faith in humanity. And then to have the Hackaday community be so welcoming to things like the Super Conference, or we're about to release the Omnibus Volume 2, which is a print edition of Hackaday, and it has great art from Joe Kim in it, and people really loved it last year. It's going to be a lot bigger this year. All that time, the evenings and the weekends, and moderating comments and scheduling posts and doing that sort of thing, just it's so worth it for what I see happening on the ground here.
I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you so much for speaking with me, Mike.
Well, thank you, Alicia. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, that covers it. It doesn't cover all the supply frame and Hackaday folks who put it together. I couldn't get to talk to everyone. They were busy throwing a conference. Chris Gamble was on stage emceeing. Jasmine did an awesome job, but wanted to stay in the background. Matt Bergeron will get his own entire show soon. And there were more. Plus whoever had to get that throwy down from the second floor duct. Sorry about that. Chris Gamble already admonished me about it, which was pretty hilarious. I wish I'd recorded that. Anyway, thank you to Hackaday for inviting me to be part of the festivities. And thank you to Christopher White for editing and producing all these tracks together. Unless he makes me do it, in which case, not thank you. At least this time it wasn't on the show floor. And thank you to you. I got to meet many listeners this weekend, and I really enjoyed that. Even when I get all weird and awkward, I like knowing you're out there, maybe getting a little bit out of what we share. So that's enough mushy stuff. Until next week, a C.S. Lewis quote. And he writhed inside at what seemed the cruelty and unfairness of the demand. He had not yet learned that if you do one good deed, your reward usually is to do another, and harder and better one.